lights on the screen, hey, it's Grant and Ryan. We bleed purple, talking hoops, never lying. Sacramento Kings, we rise and we fall. If you don't like that, then you don't know ball. Jerry sitting with the stories of the game, spilling all the truth, driving legends insane. From the Cow Palace days to Arco's roar, this town's heart beats on the hardwood floor. If you don't like that, turn away now. Kings in our blood, we rise strong and proud. Running up the score, Kings never back down. If you don't like that, this ain't your town.
Not tonight. The second night of a back-to-back bit this team, and they bit them hard. They lose by 20 in South Texas to final 116-96. The Spurs with a huge second half. It really started in the second quarter when they outscored the Kings by 9. They continued with a big third quarter. The Kings only scored 16 in the third. They were down 8 at that point. I mean, for that 12 minutes, they got outscored by 8 in the third. And then the fourth, the score was 32-25, adding up to a 20-point loss.
Grant, I feel for the Kings. I do. They're tired. And coming out of halftime, it just felt like there was nothing left. It wasn't bad basketball per se. 10 turnovers for the Kings tonight. Spurs shot the hell out of the 3-ball. Chris Paul gives you a double-double like he always does against the Kings, and the rest is history.
I got to tell you, I got a real problem with Mike Brown tonight. I'm sorry. And listen, I'm not anti-Mike Brown, so I want to put that out there. But leaving his starters on the floor that long when the game was over is ridiculous on the back of after what happened last night. So you end up in a blowout loss playing DeRozan 38 minutes, Sabonis 36, and Fox 36 after they all played 40-plus last night. You're going to kill these guys. I'm just telling you, you can't do it.
Grant, here is from NBA.com your top 12 leaders in the NBA in minutes. What sticks out to you there?
Well, I'm surprised that Trae Young's at 40 minutes, to be honest with you. But you got Sabonis at 12, Fox at 10, Keegan Murray at 6, and DeRozan at 5. So there you have it. You got 4 of the starters in the top minutes of all the players in the NBA, correct? Let me see if I'm – leave that up for a minute. Up for a minute. Let me put my glasses on here. Yeah, that sticks out, obviously. That's a lot. Well, you know what that tells me, Ryno? It tells me how bad the Kings bench is. And that's a direct result of Sacramento having a weak bench. And guess what? The bench just got much weaker because you don't have Malik Monk for at least 2 weeks. The bench is terrible. Let's just call it the way it is. Let's not sugarcoat this anymore. The Kings have one of the worst benches in the NBA. I'm sorry, they do. And so what that does is that puts the pressure on Mike Brown to have to play his starters more, because if he doesn't, he's going to lose the game. That's exactly what happened last night. It's happened on many a times. So even though I'm critical of Mike Brown, it's really a necessity, but it wasn't a necessity tonight. He should have pulled those guys from the game much earlier, in my opinion.
100%. Well, as soon as the Spurs went up, I think it was 18 with about 6 minutes left. Get him out. I don't know what he's thinking there. We'll talk more about that on the other side. Let's go to the calls. We go to Henny. Henny, welcome in tonight. Henny?
You guys are douchebags, huh?
Wow, that was a really good comment. So 116-96 is the final. And when you think about the way the Spurs won this game, they took advantage. You know what surprised me? The Spurs were very careless with the basketball.
Awful.
They had, 18 turnovers, and they still won by 20. Think about that for a minute.
The Kings had 26 points off of their turnovers, Grant.
Wow. I mean, think about that for a second.
If the Kings could have played half the pressure defense they normally do, they would have won that game easily. They would have been turning Wemby over, Castle over, everybody except Paul over. It's just you didn't have the energy. You didn't have the legs. And back to your point really quick about the bench, what the hell's happened to Trey Lyles, Grant?
He's a shell of himself. I don't know what else to say. He's a shell of himself.
Well, plays.
I don't know.
He plays all summer, plays for the Olympic team in Canada, sprains his ankle, does not have a training camp. So there's your break. So I guess the question is, Grant, is the minutes directly affecting the 3-point shooting? Can we correlate the two?
I don't know what to say anymore on this particular instance, because he's had enough time. right? I mean, it's not like he's still rusty. I mean, we're 11 games in now, right?
Yeah. He's been back 11 games. And I would say for the whole team, Grant, do you think the minutes for the whole team is affecting the 3-point shooting for this team? 28th in the NBA.
Well, it's not only 28th in the NBA. Look at it. Look at what the opponent did tonight from three.
Destroyed him.
Huh? I mean, they destroyed him. They shot a very high percentage. So it's not being able to make the three, and you're not able to defend the three. And now all of a sudden, you're 6-5. You go home to take on a Phoenix team, which you're now getting a break with them. You're catching them on the second night of a back-to-back. They play in Utah tomorrow night. You know, but when I look at the box score here tonight, right? I look at the 3-point shooting. Sacramento, 10 of 38. That's terrible. Okay? It's terrible. The opponent tonight, 22 of 46, almost 48%. That's great. Okay? That's not good. That's great. So, you know, there are a lot of things you can point to, but I've been saying this after day one this year, and I'm going to keep saying it. Sacramento is going to have a very difficult time competing against the upper echelon teams if they don't fix their bench. And now look at that bench now without Malik Monk. We already know what that's like because we saw it last year.
Yeah, and I can't fault Doug McDermott. He didn't play bad tonight. His defense was okay. I mean, the shot wasn't going down as much as you'd like it. But Grant, to your point about San Antonio, 22nd in the NBA coming in tonight, shooting the three ball at 33.5%. And they do that to the Kings. Brutal.
Listen, we know that playing a back-to-back in the NBA is not easy, especially when you have all your starters logging the minutes that they did last night in an overtime. I get that. Okay, so I'm aware of that. But that doesn't change the issue with this team, and that is that they have serious weaknesses outside of their starters. That's just reality. And now without Malik Monk for at least 2 weeks, that's daunting for this team. And if they get an injury to one of their starters here, while Malik Monk is out, this team is going to have trouble winning a game. All right. And I mean that. They're going to have trouble winning a game if they lose one of their starters right now. And oh, yeah, by the way, Houston's going to go and win their game tonight. All right. They're playing Washington. They're going to win that game. And you have the Thunder with 3 minutes and 45 seconds left. Without Chet Holmgren, they're up by 8 on the Clippers. The Pelicans, they lost maybe not. The game's not over yet, 107 and 105, but they're out of it. But so how's this team, Ryan, going to navigate the next minimum of 2 weeks without Malik Monk?
I have no idea. I honestly have no idea, Grant, because we're talking about if everything breaks right. What if somebody gets in foul trouble? You know, you have limitations already with matchups. It just feels like maybe we looked at this offseason through the wrong lens. We're like, hey, we re-signed Monk, right? Awesome. We got DeMar DeRozan. Awesome. But you look at the bench.
I know.
We've had the same bench for 2.5, 3 years now, Grant.
I know. Hey, while we have a moment, I want to say Happy Veterans Day to those of you that have served our country, our servicemen and servicewomen on this Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to you. Thank you very much for your service, not only today, but every day. We salute you. And I just want to say once again, Happy Veterans Day. And thank you very much.
Amen. Thank you for doing that, partner.
Hey, absolutely. So now the Kings will fly home tonight. They'll have a day off. I would say they're not doing anything tomorrow other than treatment, and get ready to take on a Suns team who's again playing on the second night of a back-to-back. And then you got Minnesota coming in. You know, Minnesota's a Jekyll and Hyde team this year too. So to see what happens. But right now you're only 1 game over 500 at 6-5. How important was that win last night when you look at how they played tonight?
Huge. It was everything. If you had to have one out of the two, it was probably that one.
Yes.
Also, real quick, Bradley Beal, he's not listed on the injury report for Phoenix with that knee, so he appears to be a full go tomorrow in Utah. Keep you posted on that. But these
Which
next
means
couple
he might not play in Sacramento.
Could be. We will see. I don't know his rotation in terms of rest, but that knee looked pretty bad last night when it got injured. I was surprised that he was not on the report. But yes, we will see. Jake Al, welcome in tonight with Grant and Ryno.
Hey guys, that was a tough game to watch. Honestly,
it was.
It was a bad game. I mean, besides Fox, Sabonis, and DeRozan, no one else stepped up since amongst injury. And you're right. It's going to be a struggle for this team for the next 2 weeks. Who knows how long Monk's going to be out. But if no one else steps up, I don't know how many games they're going to win, honestly.
Well, they're in 10th place right now in the West. They're 10th in the West. Think about that.
Yeah.
Right now, they are 10th in the West.
Jeez. I mean, what's up with Keegan Murray right now? I mean, it's no one. No, like what's his name? Kevin Herter's not showing up. No one can score or play any or defense. You know, I mean, look at Victor Wembanyama. Are you kidding me? He's only 19. That's insane.
Yeah, it is insane.
He's the future of the.
He'll take over this league.
He's the future of the NBA. Honestly, only 19 years old. Insane.
Yep.
Hey, Grant. I want to give a shout out to like you said, all the veterans out, especially my dad, who is a Navy veteran, and thanks to him, I've been listening to you since I was in kindergarten, and and he's a big fan of yours.
Oh, tell him I appreciate that. Give him my best, and tell him I thank you for his support, and I thank him for his service, and I thank you for not only calling the show but being a fan of the show and your support. So thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. All right, guys. Thank you.
Good job, J-Cow.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so J-Cow.
Yeah, what about Keegan Murray? Go ahead. Look at that numbers. Go ahead. What graphic we got here?
We got the same graphic as before. Keegan Murray is the only role player that's on that list. You think that's a big change for the kid, especially when you're matching up every single night with the best player on the floor? That's a tough ask. Everybody else on that list is a star for the most part in this league.
Yeah.
That's a big transition for your third year. A big transition.
Well, I said at the beginning of the year that I thought that the X factor for the Kings this year would be Keegan Murray.
Yeah.
Because I knew what DeRozan was going to do, Fox and Sabonis and Monk. I felt that for the Kings to get to the next level, Keegan Murray would have to take that step. And you've made some great points about his role and the difficulty of being, for all intents and purposes, a fifth option, right?
It's really tough. De'Aaron Fox acknowledged it in his post-game press conference. He's like, Keegan didn't touch the ball for 6 possessions, and then he makes a 3. And maybe, Grant, that's where the onus needs to come back on Coach Brown to a degree. I get he wants to let these guys play free-flowing and let them do their cuts and their reads, but you might need to get a little bit more structure, at least for the time being, in this offense, because Keegan Murray, you need more than 5 points from the young man, and we know he's capable of over 40.
I'm with you. Hey, the newest residential community in Calusa is Sunrise Landing. You get all the information by going to CalusaSunrise.com. This is a project from Blazona Development, Sunrise Landing in a great location, easy access to I-5, Highway 45, Highway 20, no Mellorews, no homeowners on these beautiful models. Don't forget about the various lot sizes. Also, you know, it's adjacent to the Calusa Golf and Country Club. So if you go to CalusaSunrise.com, you get all the information you need on Sunrise Landing in Calusa. Well, Kings, whatever, they're going to have to regroup and figure out a way to get some production, because here's the other issue going forward. You just put up the graphic about all of the players and their minutes. How's that going to be reduced now without Malik Monk and the bench being so bad? You can't. I mean, Mike Brown's got his hands tied right now. He doesn't really have a lot of options.
You don't have, I don't mean any disrespect to the prospects and the guys in the G League in Stockton, but you don't have the same class down there that you had there last year. You've got to look at getting creative, Grant, whether it's defensively, whether it's offensively. How can you get maximum output without too much physicality, and or maybe throw in some zone defenses, some things that can I guess the problem is they want to play fast.
Hey,
you can't play fast.
Peter, stop with the stupid ass comment. Did Mike Brown lose the team last night when they came from behind in the fourth quarter and beat the Phoenix Suns? Did he lose the team last night? Stop it with the asinine stupid comments.
Okay, but seriously. let me follow up on Petey's question. Yeah. Can Mike Brown lose the core of this team with the minutes he's played them up until this point?
I've always felt that the players want to play a lot of minutes. If you ask a player, do they want to come out of the game? They're always going to say no.
Right.
So I don't want a player that wants to sit. I don't want a player like that on my team. I want a player to come up to me and say, Coach, just play me all 48. I'm good. Just keep me in the game. Just let me figure it out. Those are the type of players I want. I don't want players like worrying about how many minutes they're playing.
Yeah. I agree with you in principle. It's just, in practice, it seems hard. These guys are so conditioned to getting certain rest. It's just hard. Mike Brown's hands are tied, as you said. I think I'm a little tongue-tied by it because no Malik Monk, 2 weeks, Grant.
At least 2 weeks.
At least, thank you. Being reevaluated in 2 weeks.
That means he's not coming back in 2 weeks in all likelihood.
I guess how you don't shore up this front line. That's a huge problem, and I just keep going back, and it's so unfair to Devin Carter because we have not seen a minute from this kid, and he might be a star, as we've talked about, but
I doubt he's going to be a star, but he could help the team.
Be. Yes, he could help the team. There were guys ready to play that could have shored up this front line that we're seeing playing right now. And again, this is a right now team to me, not a, hey, we got a couple of years to kick around.
Because of DeRozan, you don't have a large window with him. I mean, you just don't.
Well, what about De'Aaron Fox and his contract situation? Part of the reason he didn't re-sign is to see how this team develops.
Guess what? I would say the chances through 1/8 of the season of him being a supermax player are slim and none.
And so does that change his perspective on Sacramento? You never know.
I don't want to start rumors on De'Aaron Fox, but I know his dream is to play. I know his dream is to play in Houston. I've talked to him about it before. It's well known within the organization. So listen, I'm not saying De'Aaron's trying to leave Sacramento, but I'm just, you never know. And here's the other point of this. And I know it's way premature. We're not even at Thanksgiving yet. If, capital I, if the Kings do not make the playoffs this year, you as an organization have to evaluate whether De'Aaron Fox is the right man to run your team going forward.
Absolutely. 9 years or 8 years is a big enough sample size. And that's the crossroads, Grant. You look at guys like Vince Carter, 7 years in Toronto. You look at guys like DeMar DeRozan, 9 years in his first stop. This is the time to make that decision. And whether, you said the Kings need a true point guard, whether that be a backup or a starter. They need one on the roster, and that's something this team hasn't had in a very long time.
All right, don't forget about New Works Plumbing for your plumbing needs and repairs. Go to sackserviceplumbing.com or call the number on your screen. Remember, they are available around the clock 24/7 for your plumbing needs and repairs. Again, 916-713-1010 or sackserviceplumbing.com. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. Hope you got down to Bennett's this weekend, yesterday and Saturday, for their outstanding brunch. Sacramento, Roseville, the West Side Grill in Rockland. Bennett'sRestaurants.com to make a reservation and more. Don't forget about their happy hours every day, 2 to 6. Their sips and tastes, great share plates, tremendous prices on their wines. Over 60 different types of wine available by the glass. Again, go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. That's Bennett'sRestaurants.com. And I need a rant with Grant coming up in a couple of moments right here on the postgame show if you don't like that.
So David says Mike Brown's postgame right now does not seem confident at all. I think we're acknowledging that. I agree with Grant that he should not have played the starters up until a minute 30 left tonight. But how could you be confident when your hands are a little bit tied, when you see the road ahead for the next 2 weeks?
Yeah. And again, you better hope that nobody else gets injured during Malik Monk being out, because you remember what happened last year. Herter went down. Yep. Then when Monk went down, you had to change your style because you didn't have any 3-point shooting.
Yeah, 100%. And that's kind of the missing piece here with this team. It's the transition. It hasn't been there as much. Tonight they had 14 fast break points, but San Antonio beating them in fast break points, that's crazy. That should never happen.
Yep. And again, Victor Wembanyama, wow. That's all I can say about him. Wow. And what did we say when the schedule came out? We circled this game.
Absolutely.
We circled this game as, oh boy, this is going to be a tough game because it was against, a team where you had played the night before in a big game against Phoenix. And Victor Wembanyama, when he's playing the way he's playing tonight, the Spurs are a completely different team.
That's why their record's basically 500. They're Jekyll and Hyde, and you're the one that circled this team, and it's been a problem going back to last season with this team. The Spurs jumped out to a 20-point lead against them the first time in San Antonio, and then they played them tough down the stretch at the end of the season in Sacramento.
The Spurs are only one game back of the Kings in the standings. Digest that for a moment.
That's crazy. Holy crap.
So Houston, all right. So Houston wins tonight, all right, 107-92, and Oklahoma City looks like they're going to win without Chet Holmgren at home over the Clippers. You know, Oklahoma City is still good, even though they're without Hartenstein, they're without Holmgren. I mean, they still have a really solid team. I mean, they're really good.
SGA, what can you say about the kid? Incredible.
He's an MVP player. That's what I can say about him.
100%.
I mean, the guy is the real freaking deal. I mean, he's one of the very best players in all of basketball.
He's old school. He is so old school for a point guard, and he is a grinder. That kid gets to the free throw line.
The Rockets are now 5th in the West.
After a so-so start, they are coming on.
And the Grizzlies, they keep winning without Ja Morant, but I got to figure that may catch up with them because they also have other players that are out. They're 7-4. And again, I know it's early to go over the standings, but here's the point I'm trying to make. You in the West cannot afford a bad stretch because look at New Orleans. They're having a bad stretch due to injuries, and they're at 3-8 and a 5-game losing streak. When they get healthy, they're going to have to win at a 70% clip to get into the play-in. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be difficult.
You're not going to want to see them at the end of the season, that's for sure, if they're healthy. Flores has a rant idea for you.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. I already did my rant on that last night, did I not?
Did you? Football. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right, go ahead.
I was going to say, I do think this could be kind of that low point for the Kings. I think the upsides is much higher than the low side, assuming they stay healthy. The three's got to start falling. They're going to get healthier, but they've got to get through this now. So.
All right. It is time for a rant with Grant. It is brought to you by EDH Motors. Automotive reimagined. Go to edhmotors.com. You get all the information on this long overdue new concept. No obligation to any franchise or big corporation. Just two people, David and Adam, trying to do something different and better. And it is better. They offer new vehicle brokerage, also offer vehicle consignments where they'll sell your vehicle for you. And of course, they can buy your car. And they also will sell pre-owned vehicles. Take delivery at their auto lounge in El Dorado Hills at the EDH Town Center. So that means you don't have to go into a dealership, all right? You don't have to talk to a salesperson. You don't have to deal with a general manager and the pressure. You don't get pushed into the F&I office. It's a awesome concept. Again, edhmotors.com, edhmotors.com, and you can check out EDH Motors. Automotive reimagined. So Ryan put up the graphic about the Kings starters being among the very top in minutes played in the NBA. You know who I'm blaming this on? I'm not blaming this on Mike Brown. You only are able to prepare a meal with the groceries you have. It is very difficult to make a top-notch meal if you're shopping budget. All right? I'm sorry. It just is. All right? Monty McNair has left Mike Brown with a bad bench, plain and simple. And you should have thought long and hard about drafting a young player out of college who you knew had a shoulder injury. Maybe you didn't know it was this bad, but the reality is you knew he was injured and you still took him. Now, maybe I'm having a different tune a year from now or 2 years from now after watching Devin Carter. I don't have a crystal ball. But Ryan just said this a moment ago and he's spot on. This is a now team. This isn't we'll wait for you team. Your window is now. And you gave your head coach a bench that is thin and weak and unproductive. Plain and simple. Malik Monk, good. But look at what happens when Malik, actually very good. What happens when Monk's not able to play? You have to play your starters more minutes. And I'm afraid that we're going to be talking in the near future about one of the starters going down. And I have a feeling that the narrative is going to be because they were tired, they were fatigued. This is a real issue. It's a catch-22 for Mike Brown. Your bench stinks, and yet you can't play your starters too many minutes because you know what lies ahead. It's a difficult situation. So even though I'm critical of Brown tonight because I think he should have pulled the starters much sooner, the reality is he's got his hands tied because he's got an unproductive bench. And without Malik Monk for at least 2 weeks, you please explain to me how the hell that's going to change. It's not. It's reality. Kings are in a very dicey situation right now. And that's my rant for today.
Yeah, you can't expect Keon Ellis to come off the bench and score 20 a night.
No.
That's
not what he does.
Unrealistic expectation. He is a glue guy.
He will once in a while.
Right. Exactly. And looking at this bench, as it is right now with Malik Monk, there's not one person that you can realistically expect 20 from. And that goes for Trey Lyles dating back to last season.
Yeah. I don't think Jay's going to call tonight and talk about the Kings being a championship team. I just have a feeling we're not going to hear that.
Don't say that word, Nabes.
Shh. But hey, listen, you could just get – it's one game. I've always said this. I don't put too much into a win. I don't put too much into a loss. Go home and win your 2 games at home. Go beat Phoenix. Go beat Minnesota. And we'll be talking about, wow, what a great 5-game stretch the Kings just had.
Yep.
Or a 4-game stretch, I should say.
The reality is there's probably a lot of people in this chat, maybe 2 on screen right now, that would have taken 1-1 on this.
I would have.
Yeah.
You and I said we would have taken 2-2 before the 4-game stretch began.
We did. We did indeed.
Because I thought the Kings were going to lose this game. I said that, last night.
You've been all over it.
At halftime, I picked the Spurs to win because I just didn't like what I was seeing from Sacramento. But I think the Kings, quite frankly, I think they're going to lose to Minnesota at home. But look at how close the last game was. It was, 117 to 115 the final?
Yeah. You're playing with a completely different toolbox, though.
Yes.
A completely different toolbox. And now a De'Aaron Fox that's still trying to figure this finger out. It's being wrapped differently. He's having some discomfort here and there. And Grant, we know everybody's dealing with something at this point in the season, but there's just a lot of there's more questions than answers around this team right now.
Well, here's what I do know. You have the Oklahoma City Thunder who won tonight against the Clippers. All right. The Thunder, the Suns, the Warriors, and I got to tell you, look at what Denver's done after their slow start.
Yeah.
They're now 7-3. Don't look now, but they've won 5 in a row. And you know what? They're winning without one of their key starters, Aaron Gordon.
That's right.
Okay?
Great point.
So I don't want to hear these excuses that Malik Monk is out. The Thunder just beat the Clippers without Holmgren. The Nuggets have won 5 games in a row, many of them without Aaron Gordon. The Rockets are 7-4. Memphis is 7-4. The Lakers and the Timberwolves and the are 6-4. And now the Clippers and the Kings are 6-5. And by the way, Dallas is right now 11th in the West at 5-5. And I can't imagine that lasting very long.
Yeah, that's not going to stay. And, the Nuggets are in a similar situation as Sacramento. Jaron Holmes, their first-round pick, tore his Achilles in Vegas, and he was expected to get minutes.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. But I don't think he was expected to get the minutes that the Kings were expecting Carter to get.
I don't know if we can say that because the Kings coming into the season had a lot of depth at that position for the most part. You didn't know if it was going to be McLaughlin or if it was going to be Carter. Certainly you give the tip of the hat to Carter.
Well, I said this in the offseason, and I'm going to say it again. He barely played in Minnesota. I looked at his career, and I said, Kings fans, don't put too much on his shoulder, all right? And I think we're seeing what he is. There are times when he'll help the team, but we need to give a little bit more credit to what Davion Mitchell did for this team in the last 2 months of the season.
It's a great point, Grant. It not just from a physical standpoint, from a mental standpoint. Sometimes there's plays and fouls that need to be made that fire everybody else up. De'Aaron Fox tried to do that tonight in the second half with a block where he put his chest out at half court. Yep. Davion was just that guy for that. He was their bulldog. Who's their bulldog now?
They don't have one.
DeMar?
They don't have one. Maybe it's Devin Carter, but it's not going to be until probably February.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's November. February is a long ways off.
Yeah. You have got to get through this stretch, as you said, until you can get Malik Monk back. Whatever you can do to triage this, and just try to stay steady with the rest of the West, with the top 10.
You're going to have to, because you must factor in that you're not the only team that's going to be dealing with injuries. But let's look at their next set of games, all right? Phoenix, Minnesota, home game. So you have 4 games at home: Phoenix, Minnesota, Utah, and Atlanta. I'm going to tell you right now, you need to go 3-1 in those 4 games. No way you should be losing to Atlanta at home. No way you should be losing to Utah at home. You agree with me?
I agree with you 100%.
All right. So split Phoenix, Minnesota. Then you're at the Clippers. Home Brooklyn, need to win that game. Home Oklahoma City. Then you're at Minnesota, at Portland. San Antonio at home, Houston at home. That gets you through the first few days of December. Again, the schedule's light now. You have an opportunity to really take advantage of this schedule. But bad losses, because we talk about the January schedule, which is going to be brutal here. All right. You have, starting at the end of the new year, or at 2024, you end 2024 at the Lakers, and on New Year's Eve, or the night before, I should say, Dallas. Then you have Philadelphia, Memphis, at Golden State, home Miami, at Boston, at Chicago, at Milwaukee, home Houston, right? I mean, fasten your seatbelts, boys and girls.
Napes, let's go to March. How about March? You're at Golden State, or excuse me, you're at home against New York. You're at Golden State, at Phoenix, at home against Memphis. Now throw Cleveland in there as a good game. You're at home against Cleveland. You've got the Bulls a night off. And then you finish off your homestand against Milwaukee, Boston, and Oklahoma City in Portland.
Yep.
That's brutal. That is I believe that's one of their longest home stretches, the second half of the season.
Yeah.
It is brutal.
Well, man.
The bottom line is we can't take too much out of this game tonight. There is barely anything I take from tonight.
I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I don't take anything other than we got the news today on Malik Monk. That's the only thing I take out of today.
With you.
Right?
No, absolutely.
What time are you doing your show tomorrow?
1:00, buddy. We'll be here live at 1, taking calls and talking about the Kings and a bunch of other fun stuff. How about you?
I'm going to be doing a show tomorrow at 8:00 Pacific.
All right. We got a double header then right here on If You Don't Like That. And what about Wednesday? Wednesday's going to be fun.
Yeah, you will be joining Jerry and yours truly at 4:00. I got Sean Salisbury at 3:00.
Yes.
Talking the NFL and college football.
So subscribe. Make sure that you are subscribed. And don't forget, the new merch has dropped. Go to grantnapier.com or if you don't like that.com. Here's a QR code. If you want to go directly to the new merch, new stuff being uploaded daily. Get yours before Christmas time. Yes. We know how Napes likes to shop before Christmas.
You would not believe it. I've already done my shopping thanks to Uncommon Goods, which I'm actually endorsing for this month. And it's one of the most amazing websites I've ever been on. And I'm not getting paid right now for saying that. It's incredible.
Uncommon Goods.
Uncommongoods.com. It's awesome.
Huh. Yep. All right.
Yep.
Wow. I think you probably just blew everybody's mind in the chat.
I know. I don't know what to say other than once again, happy Veterans Day to our servicemen and servicewomen who have served our country, not only today, but every day. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. I don't even want to talk anymore about tonight's game. Do you? It makes me sick.
No, you flush it, get some treatment, get ready for Wednesday.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, everyone. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Ryno with his show. I've got my show at 8. We appreciate the heck out of you. And thank you for everything that you do. And again, to our veterans, thank you very much. Happy Veterans Day. We'll talk to you tomorrow right here on If You Don't Like That.